What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Teaching. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, here with my super dope co-hostess with the mostest. I'm going to give you a virtual high five. Boom. Miss Tori Rodriguez, a.k.a. T-Rod. What's up?
Hey, guys.
How you feeling?
I'm good. Jay, how are you?
Amazing. I see you got that bun up top today.
Yeah, I know. It's a little
you
high.
You ain't playing with it.
Mm-hmm. You know what? This is dirty hair, but it slicks back the best.
Stop playing. I love it. You see the haircut I got. Don't play with me.
I know, Jay. I know
it
it takes you forever to get that just
but
right.
I got it right though. Yeah, I got it right though. Yep.
All right, so we have Miss Millie Lee here today.
Come on, Millie.
And I am super excited. We've already found a common love, Louis Vuitton purses.
At a discount.
Yes, at a discount.
Yes.
Right. Flip that over one time. There we go.
There you go.
No. Let me get you right here.
Jay fixing it.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
But I'm excited. But I'm a little.
First off, no. First off, I don't know what y'all educators is doing. They got two big old Louis bags over there.
Okay, but did you hear? But did
you can put a whole little pit bull inside that bag.
Okay, yes, you could fit a small child in it, but once again, it is the discounted one. Like mine was a thrift store.
Okay, we ain't gonna. Anyway. I'm happy for y'all. I just had to acknowledge.
Your girl cannot afford a real one, so I gotta thrift it.
You heard that, Ryan?
And
I already know how Ryan thinks. Ryan, like, wait till your birthday come around. Wait till I get my money. Right?
I mean, I'll just say I got a few years ago. Mom paid half
I ain't
for
mad at you.
Christmas,
I'm
and
happy
I paid
for
the
you.
other half for my birthday.
I love it.
You know?
You deserve it.
Yes.
Oh, such a good song. You just go on with it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Such a good song.
Millie, I'm glad you with us.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
We connected at the conference.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Come on with
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I came there to, support a good friend of mine and actually got there a little late, but when I walked in, you were in the middle of prayer. And it was just like, for my 45-minute drive, like I already was in a mind space of God, whatever you have here for me. You know what I'm saying? But I had no earthly idea what I was walking into.
Wow.
And so to walk in at that moment, I knew it was like divine connection, God, you ordained, like all of that. And I think like the first day, I still wasn't clear that it was teachers, or speakers that want to speak at schools.
Yeah.
I still had no clue.
Yeah.
So for those of y'all that had no clue what we talking about,
okay.
Yeah.
they're probably thinking like, what we talking about? You might not know, but I have a Next Level Speakers Academy. So I train a group of motivational speakers, showing them how to get in schools to make an impact. Because there's 132,000 schools in America. I can barely hit 1% of the schools. So I'm able to train them to show them how to make the impact and how to live a life of purpose and connect with students and teachers to make this. So that conference you came to was supporting one of your friends that was a panelist, and you came in and got your own blessing.
Oh my goodness. I was just outdone because I have been in this place with education. To be honest with you, I am a motivational speaker and a coach, but I took a break from education and went back to teaching. And I've been there for about 5 years now, but I've walked around in a lot of shame about it. Yeah.
Hold, please.
Yeah. So that conference for me, just being able to find my voice, honestly, and just say, girl, you went back to teaching because that's what God wanted you to do.
Yeah.
So for me, my story is kind of like, I was in the school system, and I knew that it was time for me to take a break. I think we all, as teachers, like we have those days where we're like, peace, I'm out of here. I have grabbed my bag a couple times and was headed out the door, kids in the classroom. Like, I'm over it. I'm done. So, yeah.
Right.
I just took Friday off. And
I took Friday off, too.
I wanted to take the whole week off.
Yeah, a little mental health day.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Ain't nobody mad at it.
So I would have those moments because I'm the type of teacher who would go over and beyond my paycheck, if you will. I was there like closing it down with the custodian, just doing a lot of extracurricular things and feeling undervalued. I guess that's where I was. And so, and then also I kind of got a whiff of personal development and some entrepreneurship things. And so being that I started working on self, I was like, you know, I'm in the school and I'm thinking a job is just over broke. I'm like quoting all of this stuff in my ears. I got my podcast going on and I'm like, God, give me a sign, give me a sign. And one particular day, at that time I was teaching first grade. And one particular day I was walking down and this lady, I guess she was a parent of a kindergarten student. She had on a purple shirt and it said MOVE. It said move. And I was like, and I'm looking at her because I'm having this conversation with God.
Right.
You know, I'm like, where is like God, you know.
Yeah.
So I see this shirt, it says move on it. And I'm like stalking her, looking on the back, like, is this a church movement? Is this a fitness? And it was like, God was like, it was time. Like just off of that shirt. Oof. And so I left, you know, had no problems. I actually left in September of that year. And I kind of knew that I was making a mental transition because my classroom on open house literally looked like the storage room. Like I'm that teacher that's going to have things hanging out the sky, you know, from the ceiling, you know, bulletin boards, bada boom, bada bang. It was none of that. So it was like that spark was gone. Wow. And so I didn't know what I was going to leave to do. But in that moment when people found out I was leaving, teachers were literally coming to me like on a sneak tip, like, take me with you.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So let's be clear. Let me rewind for a second because you said something. So at that point, how long had you been in education?
I had been in education 10 years.
So you've been 10 years in, hit a wall, and got to a point where it's like, hold on, I done lost my passion. I'm not even doing my room for open house. Something ain't right. If I can't give these babies the best of me, then I need to step away because I'm doing them a disservice.
Yes.
You know what? I don't know if the spirit fell upon me, but one time I said that, and the principal was not too excited about it, but I told him, I was like, as if it's the beginning of the school year, and you done had all summer and you dreading to come to school, it might be time that you step back. Like maybe you got to take care of you. I could see it by November, December, you feeling this way, but if you start the school year off dreading it, not like, but dreading it, that's a problem. So you got to a point where you was like, you know what, I'm not where I should be in my heart. So let me step back.
Yeah, it was definitely, I just felt like I was putting a ceiling on what it was that God has purposed me to do just in life, period. You know, I was, you know, we talked a little bit, you know, earlier, another podcast that I saw was talking about like basically when you get those students that are the behavior kids, and I will always get the behavior kids, which I love them, you know, but it was just like, but every year, but you can handle them though. You can, and I would handle them, you know, and I had like mentoring programs. I just, you know, whatever I was involved in, I just give over. I just go over and beyond what most of my colleagues would not do. You know what I'm saying? So I was just in a space, didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew it was time to leave, and started, you know, entrepreneurship, started my own business, coaching women in the entrepreneurship space, personal development. But I would have moments at home where I was like missing the classroom. So I'm like sitting at home in between clients watching Sid the Science Kid. And I'm like, I want to be back in there with my little interactive.
I miss my babies.
Right. And so I actually went back to interview at different schools. And 2 years prior to me leaving, I think it was 2 years or so, that's when I got Teacher of the Year, along with my principal.
When you came back?
Before I left.
Before you been oh, wow.
Before I left. And so.
Because you were doing the most.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my principal at the time, she was also my fourth grade teacher.
Oh, wow.
And she got Principal of the Year as well. So we like had it together.
Okay.
It was like
that's dope.
The dopest thing. Yeah. So anyway, you know, you feeling yourself a little bit. And so when I left and I say, okay, I'm gonna go back. Every single county that I went to, the door was shut. it was like, you have to take this fit test, you know, to get hired. And then I got the letter back and like, you're not fit to teach. And I'm like, how am I fit to teach? I was
I'm
just
teacher of the year.
Right.
You
And it was
better
like,
ask somebody.
It was so crazy. And like I said, I was doing mentoring programs. So some of my colleagues, they were going to other counties, getting, you know, positions in other schools. And then they were calling me to come in the afternoon to do the mentoring programs. But it was still messing with my mental, because how are you all getting hired? Y'all calling me to come and do the mentor, but it was like nobody wanted me.
Right.
It was, and so that took a toll. So I was just like, okay, God, I'm not trying anymore. And so I got to that point, wasn't trying anymore as far as the education was concerned. I mean, like in a school system. And lo and behold, fast forward a few years later, I was getting all of these random calls from just different people. Like a friend of mine that worked at Red Cross, she's like, you want to work in DeKalb? And I'm like, girl, you know, I don't want to go back to teaching. No. And then I had like 2 people in my choir at church. Well, you know, they're hiring over. And I'm like, you all stop this. I don't want to go back.
Right.
And because people kind of looked at my journey, because I was that bold one that took that leap to leave, you know, and now it's like, I'm not going back to that. I did once, you know, it just kept coming to me. I sat down, did the application. And mind you, like I said before, I interviewed somewhere with someone I had gone to high school with who was the principal. So I'm in my head thinking, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Nope. Wow.
And so I was, now fast forward, I'm sitting here, I'm doing my application, and the computer just keeps shutting down, like on the 3rd page. Like you go through all this up and just I'm like, God, this is not for me. So
yeah.
Anywho, I get a call and they ask me to come to a school that I have a 9-year-old, I have a 20-year-old as well. And at the time, my 20-year-old, I was taking him on a little date at this park, and my 9-year-old was going to pre-K the next year. So we dropped him off at a park, and it was a school like on another street while we were waiting for him. And my 9-year-old, he was 4 then, he was like, Mommy, is that going to be my new school? I'm like, because he saw a playground, and so he just thought playground. We had never seen this school before.
Wow.
And lo and behold, a couple of months later, that's the school that called me to come in to interview. And I was just like super resistant. But I prayed that night. You know, I was like, God.
Because you had already had so much rejection, other schools, it wasn't working out. So, okay.
Yeah. So it was just like, God, not again. You know what I mean? So I prayed that night, and I actually had an interview set up in another county, Atlanta Public Schools. And then Fulton County called me, the same county that was like, you're not fit to teach a couple of years ago. And so I prayed. I said, God, I'm giving it to you. I'm like, putting it in your hands. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm just going to do it. Just surrendering and being obedient. The next morning, I wasn't even up. I wasn't awake. I got a phone call that woke me up. And it was from Fulton County asking me to come and interview at the same school my son was asking, is that going to be my school?
Look at that.
So I go in. The craziest thing about it was I go in, I interview. And at the time, I interviewed for I interviewed for ESOL, an ESOL position.
Yeah.
And I do the interview, and then in the end, they're like, well, we have a EIP position too. Like, you can choose whichever one you want. I'm like, God, now I've been getting rejected.
Now I get to choose.
Now I get options.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
like that.
What in the world?
Right.
And then she says, so what about your references? Can we contact your references? I'm like, yeah, you can contact them. So I go out, and I'm sitting there because my other interview is in like 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm
so you had a few of them back to back.
I had the APS and I had this one. I'm sitting there waiting, and then the principal comes out and she's like, well, you better call them back because basically like you didn't get the job. And then she starts laughing, and then she's like, you got it. And I'm like, what? Really? She was like, oh, no worries. She was like, your principal and I are best friends. My old principal from like
when you got Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
Full
it was
circle.
just like full circle.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is, you know, some people are disgruntled, you know, like go in, well, don't call my AP or don't call my principal because of whatever. And it was just like, oh my goodness. So God, you really did this. Like, you set it up so good.
So how many years total of education do you have?
So I would say 18.
Wow.
I would say 18.
How did you first know you were even called?
So, a little bit about that. When I graduated high school, I wanted to go into ministry. That was my thing.
Okay.
You know, it was like evangelista. You know, you had to like throw a little
Evangelista sister.
Yeah, you had to like throw a little twist to it.
Right.
So anywho, I go to Atlanta Christian College, and it's all about ministry. But I'm like, but I can't get paid that way. I mean, you can, but it's
Right.
benevolent. And so the only degree that they had there, or other thing that they offered, was education. And so it kind of went hand in hand because I started in youth ministry. And that's when I knew like my passion for kids was through the roof, you know.
You know, a lot of educators, sorry to cut you off, a lot of educators don't know y'all in youth ministry.
Yes, facts.
You are definitely in youth ministry.
Facts.
They need what you have to offer. You thought you was there just to teach math or the Pythagorean theory or whatever that thing is called. You know what I'm saying? But no, you it's ministry. Go ahead.
That is so true. Like, and that's where
That's what got you started.
That's what got me started in it. And then just thinking about, you know, my relationships with teachers growing through the years. From 4th grade up, I was that child that was like staying after school with my teachers. I thought my teachers and I were like best friends. Yes. I'm like, I'm buying her an anniversary gift. Like, we're going to hang out. Like, that was me. So, and ironically, like I said, my first principal, my gift from when I graduated from college was my job. She gifted me. She was opening a new school. She's like,
oh, that's next level. So you went right in.
Beautiful. From 4th grade. From 5th grade. She's my 5th grade teacher.
Wow.
Yep, 5th grade
So went
teacher.
from being your 5th grade teacher, now you're principal.
Now my
and
boss.
now your first job out of college is boom, that opportunity right there.
Absolutely.
That's
and we kept
amazing.
that connection through the years. We just kept, she always was very pivotal in like, you know, just me growing up and maturing even in ministry. Like, she was there like to be supportive and things like that. So
We see that often.
Yeah.
It's a common thing.
And,
Go ahead.
And I think that that's so important for teachers to hear is like, we know that we have the potential to make a difference on someone's life, but to see them grow year after year after year. And we talk a lot about how you may not see the fruits of your labor, but we walk by faith and not by sight. And so I think that right there is just so beautiful, how she continued to be there for you through all the different stages of life. And I actually have a similar situation that my principal that I'm going to be working with next year was my government teacher when I was in high school.
Wow.
And so to see those like full circle moments, and for us as teachers to also remember that like some of these kids that are sitting in your classroom could potentially be working for you one day. They could potentially want to be teachers as well. And so what are we planting in them? So if we do have that spirit of, nah, I'm done with this, you're right, Jay. Like you saying that, I think is important for teachers to hear. We have such an important job that if we stick with it when when our hearts aren't in it, then we do need to take a step back because we are such a pivotal part of kids' lives and their education and the fact that they could potentially be teachers one day. And so if they see a teacher be like, nah, man, then why do they want to become a teacher one day?
If they despise their teachers. How are you doing now as far as mental health, the pandemic, teaching virtually, hybrid, in and out? Like how are you doing? How are you coping with it?
I am actually I'm still in that space, and I think like moments like these are helping me because remember the shame that I had, and it's really, you know, big ups to God because it's like a blessing to be able to be even teaching during a pandemic. Because you know, right now my students,
you felt that, Tori? Some might not feel like
they don't.
It's a blessing to teach during it, but when you look at
it's a blessing, and so I've had to make that mental shift because so when I got hired at this particular school, I was teaching 4th grade EIP. I went the EIP route, and then I got surplus, and my team was like begging for me to stay there. And the principal at the time was like, yeah, she can stay, but she's going to go to 1st grade. I was like, that's the grade that I left. God, are you serious? So I go back to 1st grade, stay there for 2 years. But now these students that I have now, I've had them for 3 years. I taught them 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. Their parents are trying to get me to go to 4th grade with them.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I have to look at that in itself, like
Yes.
God, like that kind of is not.
It's like you on assignment.
I'm on assignment
With those kids.
I'm on assignment. So for the pandemic, like right now, just being able to, like the students that I have that come in were the ones that were having a little difficulty online, and so they come in and then I have about 20 that I look at on a screen or whatever, but. Every day, like when I walk in, especially the ones in the school, in my classroom, it's like, I'll just give y'all an example. One day I was sitting at my desk, of course, with social distance. And one of my students who, like, when she was at home, it was straight up, get in the camera, turn on the camera, and she's like flipping the camera up, showing me like the ceiling fan. And I'm like, please get in the camera, send me your work. Nothing, she wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So now that she's back, because I had an option in December if I wanted to just be all virtual, or that meant I was going to have to lose some kids. And I was just like, no, I want all my babies. I've had them. So whatever, because they thought they were going to lessen the stress. But anywho, so she's there.
Wait. Pause.
Yeah.
Pause. Because that right there needs to be recognized. You decided to stick with relationships over ease, because I teach concurrently as well. And I know how difficult that is. And I cannot imagine it with elementary school kids. I have it with middle schoolers who can wake themselves up and know how to get on the computer themselves and all of these things, right? They know how to work the technology. For some of my kids, now for some of your kids is a choice too, but for a lot of my kids it's also like a choice, right? And it's difficult. It's hard. It's the hardest thing we've probably ever done in teaching. But you chose to keep all of your babies because you know that you're on assignment with them, because you've had them year after year after year. And I had a teacher that was like that I had 1st and 2nd grade, and her daughter was my best friend. So she was like my other mama. And so I know what that relationship feels like to grow over years with them. And you said, no, I don't want the ease.
Right.
I'd rather take the struggle to be with my babies, to continue that relationship. That's next level.
Yeah, for sure.
That right there is next level. Period.
Yeah.
Okay, you can continue all you want now. But we had to stop and talk about that real quick because that hit me hard.
Because a lot would probably say, "Oh yeah, I'll take that. That'd be nice and smooth." But to say, "Nah, no, don't give me the easy route."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do see that a lot, Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about, because I do see that, but I think that some teachers, like, my thing is, if you really get this part that is bigger than just, signing this contract and, okay, I went to college, I got it. It's so much bigger. I think that you will come to work, like you will understand the honor in being able to educate kids, because you are molding humans,
shaping the hearts and minds. I'm trying to tell you,
like it's a factory.
Y'all essential.
Yeah,
you an essential worker.
Facts.
I'll be trying to tell folks,
Facts.
if I hear one more person say, "Oh yeah, nurses and first responders and doctors," and I'm like, you better put teachers in there. You know what I'm saying? We about to knuckle up, like, for real, because what's gonna happen when we send all them babies home?
That's right.
I can't tell you. I was even like, hey, calling my daughter's school, like, I need to come get y'all kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop playing. That's my little girl, but like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so
My girl.
This particular child, going back to the other question, The other day, I noticed that she was like, she had all this writing on her arms.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fine, you know, kids write on their arms. But I said, baby, make sure you don't use markers. You know, you can get ink poison. And that intuition, that God voice was like, call her over to the table. And when she came over to the table to show me her arms,
Oh, no.
the things that she had written on her arms, in that moment, she has no idea what it did for me, because it was like, this is why I'm here. It was like, you know, cut and KYS, kill yourself, and all of these die.
As
and
a third grader.
As a third grader.
Lord have
and
mercy.
so, of course, we jumped on it. I jumped
Counselor.
on it immediately.
Absolutely.
You know, and I just had that moment with her, you know, when everybody went home, we talked about like positive thoughts, and you know, I'll go godly in a minute. It probably is not right, but you know, I'm just
You
like,
got
you're
that life?
wonderfully and fearfully made.
Yes.
I'm like, you know, so I talked to her about that, and you know, of course, we got her into some immediate counseling.
I bet you want to put some soap and water in them arms too, didn't you?
Oh my goodness!
So quick, like having them baby wipes, them
Yes.
Clorox wipes, all of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
And then Friday, so that was like maybe a week ago, and then Thursday, because I took off Friday. But Thursday, when she left, she's like, "Bye, best friend." It hit me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That same student. So, what I feel about the pandemic is I'm honored. Period. Like, I'm honored in this moment to be able to serve. I really am.
She notice what she didn't
Not
say.
say teach.
She did not. Come on, Tori, you with me? She didn't say I'm honored to teach. She didn't say I'm honored to be in the class. I'm honored to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if more educators could have that mindset, go ahead.
So we've been going real God with this, so I'm gonna just keep going with it today because that's the theme apparently.
Right.
But I have struggled a lot with tithing because as teachers, financially, we don't make a lot. And so there have been times where I'm like, God, I want to tithe, but I'm struggling financially right now. And then I have that sweet reminder of we are supposed to tithe with our time, our treasure, and our talent. So where are you serving? When I serve, I'm
Tori.
serving. I serve every single day.
Yeah. And and the weekends.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you're serving at your church.
Yes.
So Tori didn't tell you that. She be teaching Sunday school 2-3 classes. Then she comes on across town and does podcasts with us.
Yeah.
Hours, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I served today. But it was a blessing to serve today.
Right. But I'm just saying, like it's even outside. I just had to highlight that. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that we need to remember as well, is that we are doing God's work in the classroom. We are youth pastors.
Right.
100%. Whether or not we feel like it at all times, and whether or not, like, we may not be like playing instrumental Christian music in the classroom, which I still do sometimes. And we may not be always wearing our Jesus Loves You t-shirt, which I do sometimes.
Right.
So you're not alone in that, please know. But it's also just the relationships, because we know that as Christ followers, being the light that shines through us, that right there makes a difference more than anything.
Yeah.
And so we are servants.
Yeah, the cut, the die, all those negative, kill yourself, like that stuff written is very problematic. But I'm glad that you saw it, because now you realize, okay, third grader, there's something going on inside her world. So now I can hold her close. Now I can build relationships. I can speak more life to her. I can be more intentional now to what's going on inside her world.
And I think also, if it doesn't remind us why she had her camera off, why she was showing the ceiling, because maybe there's something going on at home that she doesn't want to show. Maybe she was in a place where, I've talked about this before, about how there have been times where I haven't wanted to show my face on the camera because I just was in the middle of an anxiety attack and now I got to teach. But thank goodness I have a student teacher that can teach, and I can still be on Zoom to have kids chat me, but I need a moment to have my camera off. And so grace has just been a big word this year, but we have to remember that, and we have to remember that I feel like a lot of teachers have gotten so frustrated with the camera thing this year, right? Like, I want to see your face because we want to make connections with them. That's how we make connections. And as teachers, we also gauge their learning based off of their facial expressions and their, what their body's looking like. And so it does make it difficult, yes, but there may be a reason why they're only showing the ceiling or why their camera may be off. And that right there, it just is proof that we need sometimes.
And then there are some kids that when they look in the mirror, they don't even like what they see.
Right.
If some kids could put a mask on and come to school, they would. They would be invisible. So now it's like, I can be here, but I don't have to be seen, or you're not going to make me put my camera up or cut my camera off. And so it's also for some of these kids, it's a lack of self-love.
Yeah.
And
with embarrassment, like even with the virtual backgrounds.
Yeah.
So that gets tricky too, because it's like, I don't want you to see my living environment.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? So you just have to gauge it. One thing recently, because I'm like a hands-on, I think I said it the other week at the conference. I teach the curriculum, but I don't teach it the way that they
Want you to.
want me to.
Yep.
Right.
And so
My kind of girl. But this is
I have had not a challenge, but like not being able to like
use manipulatives
and
Yes.
like arts and crafts and like all these types of things. It's kind of been a little difficult. And so I try to do also breakout rooms.
Oh, that's
because
hard.
kids do not talk anymore. Like they're just, my 9-year-old now, he doesn't come into the building with me. But I could notice like a slight, maybe a little depression, something, because the social part is not there. But with the breakout rooms, that is a big, it helps in a way, but then you don't have anybody supervising 6 rooms.
Right.
So anything can happen in the background in these homes.
Right.
So you have that challenge as well, trying to like just
right.
get them to collaborate and all of that.
One thing that I've done with that, do you include your in-person kids with your breakout?
Absolutely.
So I make sure that every breakout room has
a
an
leader.
in-person kid, so that you can, because if they start to snicker about something, then you can tell that something's going on, and you can also stand at the back of the classroom and see into them.
Makes so much sense.
And then I've only logged into like 2 different computers, but I sometimes log in twice so that I can be in the main room and a breakout room, like if I'm trying to do 2 different things. So
Yeah,
maybe just something to try, because I'm with you. Like, we are used to having groups in the classroom as our breakout room, but it doesn't work like that now. And at least you could still hear what Michael's yelling about over here, but, and you can say, hey, back on task, but you can't do that now if they're in a breakout room.
Right.
And so that's one of the struggles, is how do we find a way to classroom manage even digitally?
And some of these kids like really want to talk about things beyond the curriculum. Going back to this breakout room, I click into one room and I hear a student and he's talking about, my mom, such and such, my dad, something happened. I just knew it was not about whatever we were doing that day.
Yeah, the topic.
But they want that social part to, they have things going on inside of them.
Right.
So like for me in education, the biggest thing for me is like connecting at the heart space, like connecting with kids,
That's
letting them know like I'm real too. I have, I have things that I go through, we all make mistakes, but letting them know like they're seen, not on a necessarily a digital level, but
on a human level.
Yeah,
so I'm going to check in with you. I'm not going to get right to the course, right to the curriculum. I'm not going to be so quick to fuss that you got your camera off. How you doing? What's going on in your world? Let's just do a mental health, a temperature check to kind of just make that connection to see what's happening.
Right.
Because you never know who's writing on their arms that you not are right there in person.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, like for teachers to be, you have to be in a place of like, you got to do your own personal, like taking time for self and being in a clear headspace when you arrive to work, because I was that teacher too. I've had moments at my previous school where I pull up and I don't want to get out of the car. And like my principal literally is like, come on, get with me. Let's take you to go check you in somewhere. Because I didn't know how to drop my baggage at the door before I came into the building.
Yeah.
And if you have all of that stuff going on, you're going to miss those moments. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just, okay, we
You're in
have a
survival
test.
mode. Yeah,
You know, that's what
yeah.
we need to be focused on. Test. We have these standards. We got to get it, you know. And then you miss the moment of the child that's writing, you know, on her arms about basically expressing herself.
And then it's the flip end, because there might be some that are like saying, hey, I'm actually doing really good being locked in with my students and what's happening. But when I go home, I miss things at home. I miss that moment with my wife. I miss that moment with my husband or with my kids. Or I've been so caught up into carrying the baggage from them. I'm giving my school my best, but my family the rest. And so how have you been, before we get to rapid fire, like how have you been juggling like home life and what's been happening in your world mentally, emotionally, like, and then also being able to take care of school? Do you find at times that, you know, you feel like it's a struggle to go between the two?
It's definitely a struggle. Even taking off for me, and I'll just say it here, I had COVID. And so I was teaching through like in my bed, camera off, and still teaching my students.
Wow.
Next level.
Like I took no days off. Like the parents knew I'm coughing over here, but y'all can. But anyway, so through that, because of that, something shifted in me about boundaries.
Come on, talk about
Because I didn't, prior to that happening to me, I didn't have boundaries. Like I would not create, I would literally, like seriously, be at that school all night, working on a project, working on a bulletin board. I do like the Black History programs and the student ambassador programs. I'm like the only one doing all of this stuff. But then I have my 9-year-old, and I also, you know, now he's grown, but I'm in this moment. It's like, but what about my 4th grader? You know, and so I realized the importance of family with COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
what advice would you give? A first-year teacher, second year, maybe someone that's struggling with that balance between the two. What advice would you give?
I would definitely say put yourself on a schedule. So meaning, you know, you may have one day out of the week that you say,
I'm gonna stay late.
I'm going to stay late.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's
Y'all right there.
those are your office hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like a non-negotiable for yourself, you know, because you don't realize you get into this, what do you call it? Tug of war, because it's like, I want to be here for my kids. I love my students, But then something else goes lacking. You know, so you have to schedule your time because you're not a robot. You are not.
That's what my therapist says all the time. Tori, you are not a robot.
You're not a robot.
Right.
So I would definitely tell, you know, first year teachers, you know, vets, retired,
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
You know, definitely
Boundaries.
like schedule. You might be great at doing, you know, you do the carnivals for the school and the, you know, parent involvement, and you do all of that. But at some point, you know, you have to cut it off.
Absolutely.
You know, you have to cut it off.
I'm going to say something that's quite controversial, especially potentially for this podcast. But a few of my coworkers have said it recently, and I learned it last year when my stepdad had a heart attack and my grandmother passed away. And I am replaceable at my job. I'm a phenomenal teacher, and I know that my kids love me, but I am replaceable at my job. I am not replaceable to my family.
And you're not replaceable to the podcast.
I know.
I throw you out there.
I know
You
that.
know what I'm saying?
Don't worry.
Absolutely not.
And I think
crazy.
that
Wow.
is something that teachers have to remember, because we are expected to be martyrs so often for our profession.
You just set a whole bunch of teachers free with that.
Yep. And so you're right. You do have to set those boundaries. And my dad got on to me for it. My dad lives 9 hours away, and the man was still upset because I wasn't calling him when I was leaving work. Or if I was calling him, it was like 7:00 at night. And he's like, girl, those kids left at 4:30. Why are you still at school at 7:00? And so you do. Like, I have one night a week, I have a friend that is the exact same way. She's like, this is my late night, and my parents watch my son. And then the other nights, I leave.
Yeah. You have to.
And leave your computer at home.
Yes.
I mean, at work.
At work.
Leave your computer at work. Do not take it home, especially in this digital age.
And then I would also say, I think it's important that we're super, super disciplined. Everybody got 24 hours in the day.
Absolutely.
And so whenever I do a PD for a school and I tell them to take care of themselves, take care of your temple, self-care, temple care, I can see in the chat, like, they'd be like, some people are actually bold. They'd be like, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Or what if I have 3 kids in activities? I'm like, I get it. You got 24 hours a day. You got to just be more disciplined. Because the most successful people I know aren't the most gifted, talented, or smartest. They're the most disciplined.
Yes.
You got to be disciplined with it. And you got to really value yourself. And you got to set boundaries, even with your family. I be telling some teachers, like, when you go home, you tell your husband if you need to, don't touch me. You tell your kids after a certain time, I don't want to see you till the morning time. From 8 to 10, it's my time to woosah. Do whatever you got to do to make sure that you're good, so you can be strong for your kids and for your school.
Absolutely. I definitely, one thing that I tell teachers and just tell people, period, that has helped me is like an hour of power. And that's like breaking that hour down into, you can do it in 20-minute increments. So that means you'll have like 3 increments of, maybe it's 20 minutes of meditation and prayer, 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of reading, or whatever it is. But like, you're worth an hour. I'm sorry, like,
I like that.
An hour of power, like breaking down,
She should have not happy hour. Hour
of power, right? Not hour of pleasure.
Can we combine those together?
You know what I'm saying? Put the things together.
A glass of wine with the book.
Wine down with the wine. You know what I'm saying? I like that though.
Yeah.
So you can spread it out, because some people, it might be hard to say an hour in the morning or an hour in the evening, but you might say 20 minutes in the morning of prayer and reading, or whatever, meditation, yoga, then some workout, another 20 minutes, and in the evening, I like that.
And track it. I don't know, for me, like, seeing that
Hold
I'm giving
yourself
myself,
accountable, AKA,
yes, like, that really helps me, like, to check it off in my planner. I mean, because we lesson plan, so plan your self-care, your mental health.
You better plan these ansers.
Okay.
You ready for it?
Wait.
Rapid fire.
Here we go.
Oh, let's go. Let's not even plan. This has been so good. You gonna come back again?
I will.
We need a round 2. You got the juice.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, you got the juice.
So
Rapid
good.
fire. I ain't got 60 seconds. Ryan gonna give it to us. Y'all lost my phone.
Oh, I got
somewhere.
60 seconds.
You got it? Okay,
I got
there
it. Ready?
is. Yep.
1 minute. Okay. All right. Favorite food?
Salmon and broccoli.
Come on with it.
Oh, okay. One has to go. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince.
Yeah.
All right. Which one do you like better, ketchup or mayo?
Mayo.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
1 which way?
1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Oh, absolutely 10.
I love it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to tell you all my secrets then. Favorite childhood TV show?
The Cosby Show.
That's classic.
What does a person need to be happy?
God.
That's my girl.
Period.
First celebrity crush?
Martin.
And what's for dinner tonight?
We're probably gonna do a pizza tonight.
Oh,
I love
that
it.
sounds so good. I'm
Perfect
so ready.
timing.
I'm not gonna lie, Lord, I love you. I'm so ready for Lent to be over. I'm gonna have some. I gave up carbs for Lent.
No, it's pizza upstairs too.
Ah,
I'm sorry.
that was like the other day I came here after the conference and there were like Einstein
Cakes.
bagels and stuff.
Muffins.
And we went out to dinner and everyone's sitting here eating the chips and salsa. And I'm like, I'll take some, can you send me some raw green peppers that I could dip into the guacamole?
Savage. And she did that too.
I did.
Awesome.
I was like, oh,
But
that's
that's
next level.
good. That's good.
She stuck with her commitment. She was disciplined.
Yeah.
I love it. Man,
right.
this was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
hanging out.
Yeah.
Thank y'all
You'll
for
have to
having
come back.
me.
You
for
were
sure.
great and definitely got some good conviction today, which
Yeah.
I think is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. It is an honor to teach during this.
Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
And thank
So-
you for your heart.
Yeah.
for
Absolutely.
your commitment and for
Absolutely.
coming back and for not giving up after the schools was like, nah, you didn't meet the quota. Nah, this ain't good. You didn't pass this. To still being open to seeing what could happen.
Yeah.
You know, and thank you for not running away from the challenges. Thank you for not taking the easy route out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you for having COVID, but still being willing to teach inside of your bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you for your heart for the kids. Thank you for being in tune with the kids, for seeing, hey, what are you writing on your arm? And seeing that and not just documenting it, but taking some time to speak life to them. Yeah. Thank you for going into youth ministry, AKA teaching.
Teaching.
Yeah. And thank you all for leaving us a 5-star review. Show us
5-star.
some love. Let us know you rocking with us, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.